Frustrating day. Didn't play very well on the defensive side of the football. I thought offensively we did some good things. We just needed to have more possessions. I don't have the stats right here in front of me, but how many? But gave up way too many explosive plays to a good football team. It's going to be tough to win games like that when you're always behind the sticks or unable to get them behind the sticks. It wasn't like they were real impressive on third down. I just think there was a lot of second and shorts during the course of the game and a lot of, as I said earlier, explosive plays that led to us losing. You're not gonna win games when you give up explosive plays and you don't play very well in the red zone. I'll open it up for questions.
If you'd like to ask a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. We'll start with Devin Fry.
Coach, for them offensively, was there anything they were doing that was particularly beating you guys, or do you think it was just kind of a lineup issue? What were they doing offensively that kind of had you guys on the ropes a bit?
Well, I think you saw a number of missed tackles during the course of the game. That was frustrating, and you and I both know there's no magical call that's going to get you to tackle better. That's between you and you as an individual, and so that was frustrating. A lot of they did come back to some repeat formations. I think they got us stuck in some calls. They knew from an initial safety structure what we were in, and I think they could take advantage of it. When they saw us in single high, they wanted to get into quarterback run game. When they saw us in two high, they wanted to get into some of their punch and downhill run game.
There were already a lot of unknowns heading into the playoffs. Does this loss kind of change how you guys are approaching this week as far as preparing goes?
I wouldn't anticipate. First off, we got to get in the playoffs, so I appreciate your vote of confidence that you think we've already made it.
Mike McFeely. Mike, could you please unmute and start over?
Sorry about that. Mobile quarterback Bernowski was able to kind of get free a few times and made some big plays. Just talk about him.
Well, the last play was kind of in a situation where the big run that he had was in a situation where we were trying to load the box and stop the run because we knew we had to get the ball back as quickly as we can. He's a good football player. Those are the things we saw from him all year long, and they do a nice job of utilizing him in the run game. They have a very talented back, and I think they do a solid job up front with their offensive line with kind of their wide reach or wide zone, and they get you running, and they hit the cutback on you, and they make you defend everything, and we struggled again. I'm going to repeat it. We struggled to tackle the ball, and I think there were some explosive plays that we gave up that was unfortunate. Tough to get off the field, tough to win when you do that.
Gray Zabel, any word on him? He got hurt in the first half, I think.
I'm going to run back. I came straight from the locker room, and I'm going to run back and visit. I'll probably have more information at our press conference later this week.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Eric Peterson.
Yeah, was it frustrating because it seemed like Cam had the offense moving pretty well in the second half? Like you said, the defense didn't seem to kind of hold up their end of the bargain.
That's you saw it the same way I did, Eric. We need to do a better job getting off the field, something we've prided ourselves on over the course of the years, and we're going to have to come up with some better answers because I'm sure whoever our next game is, if it's Albany next year or if it's someone, if we're fortunate enough to get in the playoffs, they're going to see some holes in the defense.
What did you like about Cam when he came in, especially in the second half? He led some pretty good drives. What did he show today? Well,
I think he threw some good balls. He made some good decisions. There were some times that there was some frustration as well. We had the early snap, when we weren't quite ready for it. I don't know if that was a communication error between him and the center. There were some other things that during the course of the game, we need to be more decisive when we get out of the pocket. Are we going to run or are we going to hang around and try to look downfield? And, I would have preferred at some times just for him to take off and go. You eliminate some of the negatives that can happen when you do that. Throwing it late down the middle isn't one way to be successful.
And then just finally, over this last decade or so, you guys are always kind of heading in the right direction, heading into the playoffs. Like you said, if you do get into the playoffs, it seems like you're in a different LA. It's different than it's been in years past where you had a bunch of wins stacked heading into the postseason.
What's the question?
Well, I'm just saying, how do you respond? It seems like you're going in a different direction if you are able to make the playoffs as far as stringing wins together.
Well, now, Eric, we did just get beat by a top 5 team, and we had our opportunities. So I'm not giving up on this group. Maybe you think we're going in a different direction, but I'm going to come back to work and coach the heck out of them.
Thank you.
Dom Izzo.
Matt, what do you think? Was there any reasoning why the tackling was poor today in your mind?
we're to a point right now, Dom, where we can't tackle much in practice. I mean, we've never tackled this late in the season. They have good athletes. We didn't do a good job of keeping the cup. Some of the principles that we pride ourselves on. I don't know. I'm going to go back and take a look at it, see if we were out of position. But it's frustrating when it comes down to in my opinion, a basic skill set, a basic fundamental, and you can't execute. It's going to be tough to win.
Was the plan for Cam to come in on the second series, or is that just a product of how the game developed today?
That was the plan. We thought he had a good week of practice, thought he could provide some things with the quarterback run game, which he did. Cam's a competitor. He's in the dome, he's in the football facility all day long. And he is willing himself to be a good football player. He knows that, he's still got 4 more years after this. And I think it was, you go back and look at some of our previous quarterbacks, Trey Lance had a full year to develop before he ever had to take a role. Well, that's what we tried to do with Cam. Let's let him develop first before we just throw him in there. I know sometimes it's easy, for our fans and local media to say we should be playing a different quarterback, but we got to make sure he can go out there and be successful too.
Any update on James Kaiser? What happened late in the game with him?
I think it was just a muscle injury. So, again, I have not been to the training room yet. Once I know something, we'll probably have a conversation early this week.
Thanks, Matt.
You bet.
Jackson Roberts.
Matt, any similarities between these 2 losses on the year, or are they both kind of different in your eyes?
I think they're different in my eyes. The thing that comes back to me when I think about the Southern Illinois game, I just didn't see a lack of urgency. I'm not going to say I thought our kids played hard today. I don't think there was any lack of effort on the football field. We got out executed at times. We couldn't execute the fundamentals, and we got to get back to work. And that's what I told the group just as I left the locker room. I'm not done coaching these guys, and I hope they're not done being coached.
Is the approach, you got a similar question earlier, is the approach this week, assuming you are moving into the playoffs, is that different than the approach maybe you have been taking in practice the last couple of weeks or this season?
Well, I don't know. You're only going to have 5 days, so you're going to have to get your practices in. So it's going to be very similar, probably approach. I'd be nervous to make practice any longer than we already have it. We're already working with I think we've had this a spring ball type roster, so we're down numbers. I can't just generate extra bodies for scout team and things of that nature. So we're going to go. Well, I'm sure it'll look very similar to what we've done. We're a process-oriented team, and we're gonna trust ours.
Describe, I guess, coming into the game. Coach Entz said the plan was for you to come in for that second series. Did you get a sense that you were going to play as much as you did today?
Yeah, we had a package in for me. I didn't know that I'd go series, but I thought I'd have plays here and there, and then I wasn't nervous at all when they called my name. Just knew I had to stay poised and just lead our offense. So
what changed in the second half? Seems like you guys got into a rhythm when you had the offense was on the field in the second half.
I think we got more comfortable with what we were doing on offense. We knew what they were doing on defense. I thought we got a pretty good push up front. I thought our offensive line did a good job of giving me time to make some throws, we just had guys make plays. So we just need to keep that up.
I know you're just in the locker room. You described the mood right now after this game, and now there's no time. The postseason begins next Saturday.
Obviously, people were upset, but we're not gonna drop our heads. We still have games to play, and I think this might be the best thing that's happened to us. I mean, we don't know, but we're just going to move forward, and we're going to focus on the next opponent, and that's all we can do.
They were able to run the ball, of course, pretty well. Was there anything they did or things you guys didn't do that, stuck out?
Well, obviously they're a very good football team. They have very talented players. Unfortunately, today we had a lot of issues with execution. We anticipated the plays they were going to run. We felt like we had a pretty good idea what they were doing, but we just weren't able to execute our calls.
Thanks.
Devin Fry.
Jackson, coach was being very standoffish about any kind of playoff sites going forward. Kind of what's the mood like in the locker room right now? Are you guys looking forward at all? Kind of what's the initial reaction like after this one?
Everybody's obviously pretty upset. You know, if the bracket comes out tomorrow, I would hope that we're still playing football on Monday, and that we have a chance still to compete, and a shot at playing some more football games.
Thank you.
Eric Peterson?
Jackson, you guys always talk about winning the Valley being the goal. Now it's the first time in 10 years this team hasn't done it. I mean, how do you kind of deal with that? Like you said, getting prepared to move on to the postseason if you make the field.
I'm not sure. Like you said, it's been I don't know how many years since we've done it. I've never been around and when we've not won the Valley. So we're just gonna have to figure out what to do and how to move forward and how to play better next week if we do get the opportunity to play.
And then the second half, it seemed the offense where you guys got rolling, but the defense. I mean, why do you think you're unable to maybe get off the field in the second half like you were earlier in the game against their offense?
Like I said, I think we had a lack of execution across the board. I think they were a good team they had a good scheme. We had good calls, but unfortunately we just weren't able to execute our calls. I mean, quite really simply, that's what happened.
Thank you.
Dom Izzo?
Jackson, you just said that. Why do you think tackling was such an issue today for you guys?
I mean, I guess I don't really have a good answer for that. Sometimes, there are days when we tackle well. There are days that we don't. Today was just a day that we really tackled poorly. And, I mean, we're going to have to get back to the practice field and do something different and focus, make an emphasis of tackling. And just, like, we just have to do better. We have to play better. That's the bottom line. We have to execute. We have to tackle the ball carrier better. We need to force takeaways. We need to do something just to execute at a higher level and to throw off other teams' offenses.
Describe their quarterback and how elusive he was and how much of a challenge that was today.
Yeah, I mean he was a good player. Unfortunately, he was able to extend some plays and pick up some yardage, get some big chunk plays. I mean he's a talented kid. I think he's a true freshman. He's a pretty young player, but he did a really good job, and we got to defend better somehow.